November of 2007, I deployed to Iraq. And I remember stepping out of that shuttle, and one of the first things that I noticed was that stench in the air. That, what is that smell? Camp Anaconda had the largest burn pit in theater.
A burn pit is a hole in the ground. That is how the contractors in the military disposed of all waste on the base. Hazardous waste, paint cans, blown up Humvees, anything and everything you can think of went into the burn pit and was doused with JP8 and burned 24 hours a day.
I came home. 3 weeks later, I ended up in the emergency room with a severe respiratory infection. And then I started missing work. I started having these flare-ups. I couldn't tolerate the headaches anymore. I was exhausted of going to the emergency room, and it just became my routine.
I mean, Leroy and many other soldiers were like, am I crazy? Like, is it me? Am I really just losing my mind and I'm not sick? Because that's what they're telling me, right? That this is all in my head. We were forced into this, black hole of desperation and loss.
My ultimate fear was me losing my childhood dream, losing my career of a state trooper.
He was being forced out. We were on the verge of foreclosure. We were on the verge of repossessing our cars. I mean, how? How do you go serve your country and get to this point in time? And I knew it wasn't just us. I knew there were many more families going through the hell that we were going through. It was really just consuming our lives, which is why we gave it the slogan of the war that followed us home. All of these families crying for help, desperate for help, all saying the same thing. It was really just Leroy and I buying a domain. It ended up turning into Burn Pits 360, creating the registry, in conversation with the families, them agreeing and saying, yes, we need to create something bigger than what this is. I'd never been to Washington at that level of advocacy or had any experience with Congress. I was walking in there with this idea of hope, that there was this trust and hope that these people representing us were going to do good by us. And little did I know that every encounter, they had these gatekeepers. Carrying the DOD and VA on our backs weighed so heavy on us emotionally because we had our own fight. But it's sort of what fueled us, right, on the daily. It wasn't until I approached Jon Stewart and John Field that we actually even began having those conversations about, let's create a bill like the 9/11 bill. We basically just handed Jon Stewart and John Field our 10 years of advocacy and said, here you go. This is it. This is the research. This is the discovery. This is all of it. We've used your blueprint of your registry. We want to use your blueprint of your advocacy and your legislation and just apply it to this issue because these men and women are dying. PACT Act was all of our issues wrapped into one, and everyone just being so exhausted of fighting a system. Instead of it being a system that helped them, it was a system that was against them. It was our turn in history to even teach two of the largest agencies that they were wrong in this case, that there are things they can do better.
We're not a huge veteran organization, but I told my wives that, number one, that we've had the heart and the families that have come together, that have formed this group, that were so passionate because they have all lived the nightmare that we have also lived as well.
If you believe in something and there's an injustice that's happened, it's okay to speak up. And in this case, that is how we made history, by saying we're not going to sit back and take no for an answer. It's not okay that people are sick and dying.
We weren't asking for a handout. We were asking just for the government to fulfill, their commitment to us.